Hey, Carl here for Homemade Strength, and today I'm making some concrete weights. This is going to be a temporary solution in case you're waiting for Craigslist to have some cheap used plates in your area. Thing we're going to do is make a mold. I got this bucket from Target. I believe it was like a 17-gallon bucket or something. It was in the storage bin section. The bottom of this thing is 15 inches in diameter. That's perfect because we want this just smaller than a standard 45-pound plate because I don't want these concrete weights sitting on the ground when I'm deadlifting. I want them off the ground. They're not going to be the most durable things. So this storage bin ends up being perfect. It cost $6. They also had them at Walmart, I believe. And that's going to be our mold. So the first thing I do is cut off the bottom of it, about 7 inches, 7 inches or so. And then I'm going to mark all around the edge with permanent marker about 2.5 inches up from the bottom of it. That's how much I determined I wanted, how thick I wanted my plates. What I didn't do and what you could do is measure out, 30, 35 pounds of dry mix of your cement, and then however tall that gets, so be it. I didn't do that. That would ensure that your plate weighs exactly what you want, but I didn't do that. I just measured 2.5 inches up. So mine is going to weigh what it weighs. This is a 2-inch diameter PVC pipe. I just cut off about 6 inches or so. I'm going to put it in the center. That's going to create the center hole of our plate. Now I'm going to use a little caulk around the bottom of it just to kind of temporarily glue it down. You could use tape, duct tape, I suppose. I don't know if the cement will stick to the duct tape. I've never done that. But I just had this caulk, so that's what I decided to use, and it does work well enough. Like I said, if you wanted to measure out your dry mix beforehand, say you wanted a 35-pound plate, just pour out 35 pounds of the concrete mix, and then you'll know that after you mix it up with water and the water dries, it should be about 35 pounds. That's what I should have done, but I did not. So mine ends up weighing about 37 pounds. And I can't guarantee both my plates will weigh the same. I haven't weighed them both yet. But if you want them to both weigh the same, I suggest you pre-measure out your dry mix. And that would be the most accurate way. And then you won't have to mark up 2.5 inches or however thick, because it'll just be as thick as it happens to turn out. If you wanted a certain thickness, then by all means mark it out like I did. So I glued down the pipe with caulk. I let that dry for a few hours. Now I'm going to pack some dirt into the center of it just to give it a bit more stability. I'm not sure if this is completely necessary, but if it does happen to pull away, I figured this packing it with dirt would stop the cement from leaking in there. That was the thinking behind it. Now I'm going to mix up the cement according to the bag. I recommend you do it in a flatter bin like this that has some surface area to work with, rather than something like a 5-gallon bucket, which would be hard to turn it over and mix it up really good. I just use this storage bin, and then I wash it out when I'm done and can use it for storage again. Although the shovel and trowel does kind of scratch up the plastic, so be warned. If you're going to use something like I did, probably going to scratch it up. I tend to make my mix a little bit wetter than the bag calls for, not necessarily on purpose, but in the end it's all good. It dries out just the same, in my experience. I'm not an expert stonemason, so might not be doing things exactly right, but works well enough. And I've cast a few of these plates and they seem to work. So once it's mixed up, just shovel it in because I did not pre-measure my mix like I should have done, but I had that idea after I was already done, so that means I end up mixing up a couple batches. What I'm doing here, I'm trying to smooth it down, pack it in, but it's not enough. It's not up to my 2.5 inch line yet, so I end up mixing some more, putting it in. But like I said, if you want, say, a 30-pound plate, just measure out 30 pounds of the dry mix, and then you'll know that's how much your plate's going to weigh. Just add water to that, dump it in, smooth it out, and then when it dries out, it should be 30 pounds, or however much dry mix you weighed out. But then I smooth it down nice and smooth, and I let that dry a little bit, or set up a little bit. The inner pipe on this was pulling up a little bit on me. It didn't do this the first plate I made, but this second time it did, so I just put a paint can on top of it to weigh it down, and it worked out well. Now this has been a few hours since it's been drying, and I'm just going to try to go over it, smooth down some of the rough patches on it. Now, this thing I'm just showing you, I made this little wooden frame, the extractor. This is how I'm going to get the plate safely out of the mold. You don't necessarily need to do this, but I was bored and I figured might as well make this easier. I just roughly cut out a plywood circle that's smaller than the diameter of this mold, and then I screwed down little lengths of 4x4. So it's going to sit in like that once this is dry, and then I'm going to flip the whole thing over, and you'll see when I actually do this. That just makes it really easy for me to get it out of the mold by myself. You could always cut the mold a little shallower so you don't have that big plastic lip on it. But right here, I'm just spraying it down with a little water. They say you're supposed to, keep it wet, keep cement wet as it dries. So I just, every so often, I sprayed it down with a bit of water. Now here it has been about 36 hours. It's been drying for 36 hours, and you're going to see this extractor in action. I just laid in there nicely, and then I'm going to tip the entire thing over, and then the plate's going to come out nice and easy. If you did not make an extractor frame like that, like I said, if you didn't cut the thing so tall, my mold is so much taller than my plate, it might be a little easier to get out. Now the cement should not stick to the plastic mold, and it doesn't. I've cast 2 of these now, and it hasn't stuck to either of them, and there's no reason it should. And you can see the pipe pulled away out of the from the rest of the mold, just like I wanted. I was intending that. This pipe, however, gets stuck, and I can't pull it out. The first time I cast my first plate, the pipe pulled right out. This time it did not, so I had to hammer it back and forth to loosen it up, and then get a good grip on it and twist it out. It worked out in the end. Now, the bottom of this would have been the bottom of the mold. You can see all these pop marks in there. That looks ugly, so I'm going to remedy that. This is the pre-mix, just add water concrete mix. Stuff the Quikrete, but you can see it's got a lot of big gravel chunks in it. So I'm going to go ahead and just pick out all the big gravel, and we just want the fine powder. And you can see I made a slurry there by adding water to just the fine powder. And then I'm going to spray down the plate with a bit of water, and I'm just going to rub in this fine powder slurry into all those, unsightly holes. And this is the result. I'm not trying to get it super smooth, but I was just trying to, fill in some of those holes so it doesn't look quite so bad. And you can see there, it looks pretty good there. Now, here's a bonus. So that's basically done. Just let the plate dry for a couple more days and you'll be good. Here's what I did. Now to make the inside of it, I wrapped the sleeve of my Olympic bar with duct tape and make it thick enough so that you cannot get an Olympic plate on or off the bar, as you can see there. Now what I'm going to do is spray this with a little bit of oil, WD-40. You can use any kind of oil. You could even use olive oil. It doesn't matter. Just need to lube that up. And now we are going to start wrapping sticky side out duct tape around this thing. And the oil will allow us to slip this thing right off once we're done. And we're just going to keep wrapping this sticky side out until it is the same thickness as the pipe we used in the middle of our casting mold, because that's also the same size as the inner hole of our concrete plate. And we're going to use this little ring of duct tape and we're going to shove it in to our cement plate, and that's going to give us a better fit on the bar, and it will also stop us, kind of protect our bar so we're not grinding stone on the end of our bar every time we pull this on and off. I suggest you kind of crinkle. I'm trying to shove it down straight like this, but I suggest you crinkle one spot of it so that you can easily get that ring of duct tape inside there. And then to really secure it down, I'm going to take it over to the bar in a minute here, and I'm going to shove it on the bar, and I'm going to hold the sleeve of the bar so the sleeve doesn't move, and I'm going to spin the plate. There you can see a nice duct tape ring in there. And by doing, like I said, spinning this plate, you're going to open up a little bit more room so it goes on the bar a little bit easier. So hold the sleeve's not moving, and just spin the plate. And that will kind of flatten down that duct tape and secure it to the inside of your plate. So this is the end result, and it's going to work out really nice. This is going to ends up being about 35 pounds. Hopefully that helps you, and thanks for watching.